All right. So we have our assignment sheets. Project name is AngryBirds. The due date for this one will be the 26th. That is the Monday before holiday recess. Apparently we can celebrate the holiday, but we can't call it what the national holiday actually is. Right. Right, National Nondescript Holiday Day. Right, so we're here on the 26th. That'll be the due date for it. We're not here on the 27th and on until the April 1st. April 1st, 2nd. What was that? Yeah, we're just missing one. Because we missed Martin Luther King Day, the second or third Monday, then we make it up here. I will be starting the next assignment as far as like planning and stuff that you can start working on after that, or before that. That way you have the break to kind of work on that too. Just like this one, any artwork that you want to create will have to be created outside. I will give you artwork, I will give you stuff, but if you want to do your own, then that will be outside. And then just for kind of point of where we're at in the class, once that break happens, this semester is going to fly by pretty quick. We only have basically a month and a week left. Yeah, after that. Okay. Project description for AngryBirds, we're going to be understanding, rigging, animating a simple character, and also working within a 3D environment. So some of the stuff we went over last class was using the 3D layers to create the look of parallax for the environment and objects. That way when we create a camera, we're moving our camera left and right or in and out. It looks like those items are moving differently. We don't want everything to look the same, okay? Even if you have parallax but it's so subtle, you really want to exaggerate it so that we can see that we have that movement, okay? Rigging a basic character to be controlled in a different composition. Okay, so everything's not rigged in this composition. All your AngryBird pieces and your environment and everything is right there. We want to create a separate area of our character and then bring that into our environment. Animating the character moving and using the 12 principles of animation. Oops. Okay, so animating things like easing the movements in and out, controlling the time of it, making sure that it looks like it's realistic, like it's emulating some sort of physics or some sort of realism into the scene. And everything that we do as an animator, there's what would really happen, and then as an animator, we have to push that envelope to get the message across. So if in the real world a ball bounces and it hits the ground, it may do just a very subtle effect. We have to exaggerate it so it looks like the ball is actually hitting the ground with a bit more impact. To stretch it out a little bit more, squish it a little bit more. The other video we didn't watch, there's one part in it that's pretty good where he talks about the extremes. Like if you have someone throwing a ball, you could have them wind up and throw the ball, but you may not know what is effective as far as how far back should he wind up and how far back should he push forward. So you go like crazy far one way and crazy far the other way, and then you work your way in towards a good area, okay? If you are at this small area and then you just kind of scoot out, scoot out, scoot out, you don't really see what that looks like. Even when I was setting up the camera in this shot, I went pretty quick at first, and then I kind of went back and kind of slowed it down a bit just to find that right area. And I think I ended up with only 5 seconds of animation, not even, 3.5 seconds of animation of that camera versus the 8 or 6 or whatever it was I started off with. We'll be adding sound effects as well. Along with sound effects, you can just put a parenthesis there, and you can also put music. If you want to add like a little music backtrack to that too, you can do that. I will show where you can get music. It's pretty much the same process as doing sound effects, except you will look for free music downloads. And make sure it's like legit music, not like you want royalty free. That's what I forgot to say, royalty free. If you aren't familiar with that, if you put a song like, what's a popular song right now? Thunder. Okay, you put Thunder inside your video and you put your demo reel up online and it has Thunder, Google will flag it and it'll cut out the audio. Okay, so sometimes it'll cut it out, sometimes it'll just I'll give them credit or something. So make sure that you don't have anything that is copywritten in there, because you don't want this piece that you worked on syncing audio and everything else to be in there and then it's just gone. Okay, so if you find royalty-free music, Bensound is a good place. Sorry, what was that? Yeah, so there are ones that like these ones are all free, so you could download these and use them. Some of them are totally free, some of them there is like a subscription, whatever. If you wanted to use something like a copywritten song, you would have to contact the artist and get their permission to use that song. And then you could give them credit. Now, if you go to YouTube, you'll see there's probably 1 million people that have used someone's song inside their stuff. That's fine, but as a student who's trying to figure out how to make it into the industry, you can't do that in industry, so you shouldn't advertise that you can do it, right? If you know a band, I've had people who know bands, and they will record songs for them and use that. Even if they have something that's kind of inspired by, what is that? Thunder is a song. What's the band? Imagine Dragons, thank you. Inspired by Imagine Dragons, then you could still kind of use their inspiration as a way to create that song, okay? There's also stuff like on your phone, you can download apps that have like song makers. So it's basically like you pick like, here, I want this beat, I want this background, I want this, and it'll create basically like a little song that you could use. And that's another way that you can kind of get around doing, you know, something that is very already there, like that. One of the clips that we have, and I'll show you this too, multimedia. There's a multimedia drive. If you're in the Mac room and you go to connect to servers, you will see one of the drives says multimedia. You have to spell it right though. There it is. And there's a bunch of royalty-free sound effects and royalty-free songs on there as well. So under sounds, these are all sound effects and music. So one of the ones I picked like 5 or 6 years ago for a video I did is now like in a Ford commercial. So now I hear the Ford commercial song, like it's like ridiculous because they're using the same stuff. So if you want to like stand out a bit more, then, you know, look around for something. There you go. Very generic stuff. So that's that one. Let me see. I have one on my phone right now. Music Maker Jam. So that's the one that I currently have. It's just a fun thing. You literally just pick instruments and stuff. One second. Stuff that you can play with. So if you want specialized music, you can use Bensound. I think Looperman is another one that I've used before. Some of these do want you to give credit to whoever you grab the stuff from. So if I went here and I used this, I'm not even sure what this specific one is. Oh, that's software. I don't want that. I want loops and samples. There we go. So if I decided I wanted to use this song, then I would have to give Stage Guitar 135, or no, sorry, Sushil Bawa, I'd have to give him credit on my thing to say audio was by blah, blah, blah. So lots of resources out there for finding music and not just the sound effects. Music is usually a little bit trickier to do because you don't have anything to look for. You have a genre that you can start with, but there's not a whole lot of specifics to get into it. All right, so using 3D layers, rigging a character, animating basic movement, sound effects added. And then your title and transition to video. Okay, and that's going to be obviously on all of these having that title and transition on there. And like I said before, if you're not comfortable doing the Illustrator stuff, don't do the Illustrator stuff. Focus on the After Effects stuff, okay? If your Illustrator work is not at least to where my Illustrator work is, and my bar is pretty low on that, you don't want to go any lower than that, okay? Because it'll look horrible, okay? And that's intentional. I wanted it to be like, here is something very generic that you could use that works, and if you wanted to, then you could spend more time creating your own artwork and blah, blah, blah. All right, so turn-ins, project folder, and only the essentials. And the essentials for this one should be your movie. Oops, sorry, movie and artwork and latest file. There we go. And then for the movie part, it's same resolution we were doing before, 960 by 540. Oops. Hold on. That goes under resolution. Sorry. At 30 frames a second. Now in his video he said 24. We're using 30 just so that you get used to having more keyframes to kind of play with. So that way if you do want to create something a little bit more subtle, it's easier to do. Yeah, we don't need anything for movie, just we know what the movie is. And then the points possible for this one is winter PDF. So many files. Come on. There we go. 10 points. Boom. So make sure you put points possible on there. Make sure you put your name, obviously, on there as well. And make sure you put the class name and number, and that helps me out know which class things belong in. Cool. Questions on the submission form? Correct, the 26th. 10. Okay, so I'm not going to go over anything further on the rigging of the AngryBird today. I think you got plenty of stuff that you could work on as far as getting the basic rig done, getting the items in there, laying them out in that 3D, getting the camera set up. Next class, I'll go through the last steps of rigging him and then the animation process. Once that's done, I'm not going to go over sound effects because we've done sound effects. I'm not going to go over adding a title because we've done adding a title. Okay? The rest of that is just, once you know the animation part, then it's there. Cool? Questions? Sure. Okay, after. Yep. All right.